So, good morning. Thank you for coming this early in the morning. My name is Inês Coelho, and I'm a software engineer. But besides that, I'm also biochemistry. And what that means is that I went to university and I took a biochemistry degree, and afterwards I enrolled in the university again and took a computer science degree and master. And why did I do that? Why I took 2 degrees? Of course, by now I have a beautiful story of how my life changes and how I want to pursue something different. But the real reason behind that is because I'm a girl. And as a girl, I was raised with a lot of stereotypes. Like girls like pink flower things, of course, while boys go to blue things, play with cars, and we play with dolls. While growing up, boys play football and girls couldn't, and boys didn't like us to play football with them. Unless someone obliged them, we couldn't play with them. And growing up, when I enrolled in high school, there was a lot of pressure of girls doing engineering or enroll in technological courses. Girls don't study physics. Girls study things like biology and chemistry. I wanted to study physics, but a lot of people said, no, afterwards you want to go to university and you want to go to something more scientific. You're a girl. You don't want to do engineering. You should study biology, not physics. And due to all that pressure that I have from my family, friends, teachers, everything, since the early age of 15, my path starts to go towards biology. And afterwards, I enrolled in a biochemistry degree. And just to be clear, I was successful in that field. I worked in scientific research. I have papers published. Also, I applied for a PhD grant from the Portuguese government, and I achieved it because I was a successful professional in my field. But afterwards, at that time, I started to think what I really want to do with my life, and if I saw myself doing that scientific research for the rest of my life. I like to be in the lab, but that was not everything that life encompasses, because when we do research, we also have to write a lot of papers. It's a lot of paperwork, and that paperwork starts to grow as we grow in our career. And I really stopped to think what I wanted to do in my life. And I realized that the life I was doing and I was happy to do was not the life I would have chosen, but the life that other people pressured me to choose. And when I really stopped considering that and those pressures that I had in my life, I realized that I really wanted to do something really different. I had good grades in biology and in mathematics when I was in high school. They were similar, and people look at that and say, yeah, so you are good to go for a biological field. Especially good students have a lot of pressure to go to medicine, both girls and boys, of course. And I also had those kind of pressures. But when I really think about it, I realized that when I studied things like math, it was a passion. I would do exercise because I love it. I would do the test because I really like it. And when I had to study biology, I would pick up the books, I would look at them, I would spend hours looking at them until I really start to study. And I had to study much more harder to have the same grade. And I realized that me as a biochemistry also had that in my professional life. I would look at papers for hours until I really start to read them and work with them. So I realized that maybe my focus should be in something else, and I enrolled in computer science. I just finished my master's degree, and I couldn't be happier about that, and I'm really looking forward for my next professional achievement. But yeah, this is quite personal story that I'm bringing to you, and I'll this cannot really be generalized, right? I came from a place so remote there in the center of Portugal, north center, that it's called the lands of the demon. And as our best writer have written about it, it's a place that nor Christ ever went there, nor even the king, nor the apostles. No one wants to know about this place. It's really remote, and we are on the sidelines of civilization. So my question is, does my story can apply to other girls? Well, early this year, I participated in an activity promoted by the IEEE student branch of University of Coimbra and the Women in Engineering group. This activity is called TISP, Teacher in Service Program. And we went to high schools in the Coimbra area, and we work with high school students and to try to bring, to explain what is an engineering, what does an engineer do. And we did a funny activity with them. We gave them that material, that it's basically spaghetti, paper, tape, toothpicks, strange things. And we asked them to build a bridge between two tables with 30 centimeters apart. And in the end, we use a sort of material to pull the bridge and to see how much it would bend and if it would break, to see who built the better bridge. And this activity was really fun for me. I just went one day to two different classes, one of 15-year-old students and the other 18-year-old. And it was a physics classroom. So what that means is there were almost no girls there. It's physics. The 15-year-old classroom had 4 girls, I think. The other had only 1 girl. And the first question we made is, who wants to be an engineer? And of course, the majority of the guys raised their hand, but the girls, no. And when I asked them why, they were like, engineer, please. Like, I'm a girl who goes to engineer. Then we asked them to do this exercise, and the girls were like, oh God, we have to do this. And boys were, yay, let's have some fun. And it was really interesting. The guys, most of them, had like a brute force approach. They picked up the spaghetti, they rolled paper on it, and made a bridge, or something like that. And the group with the 4 girls, I went there, and they were thinking about the structure of the bridge. How could they make it stronger with the materials they had? It was really interesting because the boys were just going for it and tried to build something, and the girls were thinking first. So, maybe they have a sort of engineering thinking, but they have no idea about it. It was funny that one team decided to think outside of the box because we said, yeah, you have that material and you can use everything. And they put a chair on top of the bridge, and they connected the bridge to the chair so it's stronger, right? And everyone on that classroom started to imitate them and do the same thing. But the story I like most is the group with only 1 girl. That girl, for most of the classroom, she was seated near a group, but without saying anything. That typical girl position of not leaning in, just hearing what they are saying, stay silent. But then suddenly she really starts to enjoy it and participating. And here in this photo you can see her really working, and she was really into it afterwards. And at the end, when I went to see the bridges, I saw something else. Here is the bridge that she made, that her group made, of course. But she cut paper in star-shaped form just to make the bridge prettier. None of the guys care about that, because what we asked, it was a strong bridge that don't bend. But the girl, at the end, even cares about make it prettier. Of course, you can say that, hey, maybe girls think more about design and not really engineering. But no, she was really into the engineering part. But afterwards, she also cared about the design of it. And I think this example was beautiful and tells a lot about diversity, the importance of having diverse teams, because diverse teams are more creative, innovative and productive than others. We have different ideas, we have different opinions, and we bring them to the table. There's also an example I heard somewhere, and I couldn't really find anything to put on slides, but Apple, some time ago, designed an app to measure a lot of bodily functions, like sleeping, running, everything. There was a lot of things, but there was one thing missing, that it was menstrual periods. So it was a app designed by men, by taking in consideration the men's needs, not the women, because they don't have women in their engineering team, probably. No one thought about what a woman needs, only what a man needs. Afterwards, of course, there was some hype about it, and they introduced it, but not the first version. The first version lacks something that for us women is fundamental. Other important topic that I need to bring to this table is that there are a lot of discrimination for us as engineers. I know a lot of people, well, I'm in computer science. Computer science is not that bad, but mechanical engineering or electronics engineering, I have friends that are working on that field for years, and they go to meetings, and guys look at them and they're like, hey, I'm waiting for a mechanical engineer. And I'm here. No, you're not. You can't be the engineering I'm looking for. You're a woman. So yeah, we are still reduced, not to our capacities, but by our sex, still discriminated. And this is an example. This paper is in Portuguese. It's from this summer. This Portuguese girl, Juliana Oliveira, she created a startup in a mechanical field. And she says that people still laugh at it and ask her, what? Really? Do you really have a startup? And for 3 reasons, because she's a woman. She's a woman, is a CEO of her own startup. And that startup is in the mechanical area. That is huge. People still have this prejudice against these 3 things. And last year, there was this hashtag that trend on Twitter about what an engineer look like. Because we have this idea that girls in engineer look like geeks, or we have really this stereotype that also makes girls running away from engineer. I must say that I can tell you this story, that some time ago, a few years ago, I was out with my friends, and there was a guy like talking with me, and he asked me what I study, and I told him that I study computer science. And the guy looked at me, really looked at me and said, no, you are lying, you don't look like a geek. And he turned away. This was the night that CodeBeats ended. I had just came from CodeBeats here in Lisbon to Coimbra. I was in a birthday party, and exactly after that, I went to my bag to pick up my wallet to pay something, and I had bought an Arduino on CodeBeats. And instead of my wallet, I took out a breadboard, the whiteboard from my Arduino, in a bar. And I was like, yeah, totally. I'm totally not a geek. I want to bring this question because when I start to talk about my presentation, some people, both boys and girls, told me that the reasons why the numbers of girls in tech are this low, that, you know, it's like 10% or something, it's because as the way we evolved, girls evolved to be more proficient in other fields than technology, and women and men are more proficient in technology fields than women, and that's why we have these numbers. This is, of course, is a reasonable way of thinking because, yeah, there's this huge gap, but I want you to think about something. Until 150 years ago, women had basically no rights. We couldn't vote. After we are married, we are legally dead, and we were sort of property of our husbands. They could do what they want with us. They could beat us. They could almost kill us. Actually, I think if a man killed his wife, yeah, he had to go abroad like for 3 months or something, but then it was perfectly okay. Fortunately, this changed, and here in Portugal, after our dictatorship finished in the 70s, women were finally considered equal to men and able to vote and have the professional activity that she wants without having to ask her husband for permission, or they can travel abroad without having to ask permission. This was not 50 years ago. This is quite recent, you know. So, and yeah, in our parents' generation, or maybe a little older than that, still study like these kind of things on school, that women take care of the house, and the biggest achievement of a woman, it was to be married. So, my question is, does this gap in technology happens because we evolve like that, or we still have to change things culturally, the way we see women, the way we perceive our capabilities on a technological field? This graphic shows how the measures of women evolved in medical school, law school, physics, and computer science. And you can see that from the 70s, the number of women that study increased a lot. But in computer science, there was a strange trend completely different than the others. In the 80s, somehow we start to drop. And you know that the first programmer in the world was a woman. And there are a lot of women working in technological fields with great achievements. So this is a really strange trend. And one of the explanations we find for this is when the first personal computers start to appear, they were marketing for boys. As you can see, these like three top images are the marketing that was made by those computers that everyone should have a computer at home, but as you can see in the picture, the computer is the man that is using it, while this woman is in the background cooking, or looking at his children really happy that he's using the computer. So, but for equality reasons, I also brought this picture of 2 children playing, and the girl is playing, of course, but the main image is the man working on computer. And so when computers start to be a more broader thing, and you have a computer at home, it was for the man to use. And women start to lose their edge on the technological field. They would go to universities and enroll in technological courses, but men had a different behavior with the computer, a different connection, but because they have them at their homes. And if you buy a computer in this age, you probably would put it in your in your child, your son room, and not in your daughter's, because of this type of marketing. And just to finish, I'm going to finish this part of the presentation. I'm going to bring another hot topic because I like to see the house burn. Motherhood. We always consider that motherhood is the most sacred thing. All women love children. When you see a baby in the room, all women flock to them, and it's something we consider basic. Women are apt to be mothers. It's something that we both culturally and biological consider like a basic thing. Yet, lately, a lot of debate has been raised, and we start to question mothers if they somehow regret that, being mothers. And this is so taboo that it's really hard to have numbers. But this discussion started somewhere in an Arabian place or something, and was brought to Germany, and it raised a lot of dialogue for months and months. Because in Germany, women there, culturally, they really have to stop to work to dedicate and raise a child for months or years, or otherwise their culture will not will discriminate them. So there, we think that 20% of the women in Germany regrets have children. 20%. The number can be as high as that. And we don't know, because since this is a taboo, we have no idea if the number is even higher than that. This means that 1 mother in 5 regrets have children. We are here in this room, so I don't know, 30 people, 20, something like that. So at least 4 or 5 of our mothers might regret having us. It's a scary, scary thought. But how about the fathers? What do they think about it? Because, okay, question motherhood, it's a taboo topic. But you know what is even more taboo than that? Is asking a man if he wants to be a father and if he would like to reduce the way he works to dedicate more time to his children. Our society thinks that the man must support their house and keep working. And if a man wants to stop work to be a stay-at-home dad, that is a question even more forbidden than a woman regretting to be a mother. But I did this quick internet search, and I saw that more single men are wanting to be fathers and are looking for ways to be a father. For me, this is what diversity means. I don't know if you know the term umbrella species in biology, but everyone knows that we must save pandas, something like that. Panda is an umbrella species. Yeah, they are cute, they're funny, those big bears, but maybe we are not trying to preserve the panda. We are trying to preserve a little bug that lives near the panda. But if we say that we want to preserve the bug, nobody cares because we don't like the bug. So we say, well, let's preserve the panda. And by preserving the panda, we are also preserving the bug. Diversity in tech, for me, is also like that. I'm a white girl that works on tech. So that's what I'm trying to defend. But this goes further than that. The day that we'll have more women in tech, and that women can really decide if they want to be a mother or not, and work or not to be a mother, it will also be the day that men can decide if they want to work or to stay at home and be fathers. Or maybe work on kindergartens. That is something that we think that it's a role mostly for women. Most kindergarten teachers are women. We don't see men there. But I know a lot of men that deep down would love to work with children, but we don't consider that. And for me, that is what diversity in tech is in a broad spectrum. So, to change a little bit and to calm down, my goal here is to raise awareness, to talk about the problems we face and how we can make it better. And the thing is, boys and girls, we are raised in completely different manners, and these will bring different characteristics of ourselves, and we'll bring that to the work field. We can see this is the same magazine, the girls' version and the boys' version. The boys' version is, let's go explore technology, science, everything. It's the possibilities. And the girl magazines, Be Pretty, fashion, dream hair, clothes, first kiss. Halloween's costumes. Halloween is almost here. Boys' costumes, they can be vampires, pirates, doctors. Of course, girls can be sexy vampires, sexy pirates, sexy doctors. I bring here another topic because I was raised in the Sailor Moon generation. And I really enjoy this anime because for the first time, or with this impact, we saw a cartoon on the network, on TV, that was focused in girls. We have a lot of superheroes that are men, but a cartoon where the main character is a woman and has superpowers, it's not, at that time, it was not that easy to see. So this cartoon really changed our lives and had a lot of impact in us growing up. And I have here some quotes from it that see that they also care about this discrimination subject. But there was one thing that really I can't handle about this, is that you have 5 superpower girls that in every episode needs to be saved. There is this tuxedo mask guy that always comes in the right point, throw a rose, and changes the battle. You have 5 superpower girls, but they always need to be saved by the tuxedo mask man, and with these kind of reactions. But you know what? This is TV. This TV was based in books. And those books from the 90s are not like that. And 20 years after Sailor Moon showed up on TV, there was a reboot that is more similar to the books. And in this reboot, we have something like this, where Tuxedo Mask Man is supporting Sailor Moon and helping her to really fight a battle. This is completely different, because the other image, we are saying that, yeah, women are powerful, they can do things, but they also need help from men. They always need to step down for men to go there and save the situation. And here, no, they are supporting each other. And that's what we want, right? In the workplace, we want to support each other. I also, Game of Thrones is also a series that right now is widely famous, especially for the women that they have. They have really strong women. I'm not going to talk a lot about this. But although they have these all strong characters, if you read the book, you'll see that they are even stronger. The writers of the show were not brave enough to really put women as they are in the books. They were reduced and somehow characterized to be on a TV show. And just one example, it's the most feminist plotline from the books, never even make it to the show. That is this woman, Ariane Martel, that she is the heir of a principality of the Highland. She has her own right, she's a woman of her own right, and she doesn't make the cut for the show. And she's still alive in the books, and she's alive and kicking. Another example, some time ago, Barbie tried to be in this marketing and show that Barbie can also be a software engineer. And this is like the first page of the book, where she said, hey, I'm building this project, look at my puppy, so cute. And her sister's like, oh, really? I want to play this game. And Barbie said, hey, but I'm only creating the design. I need Steve and Brian's help to turn this into a game. But she's a software engineer, but she only created the design. The story goes worse than this. This is just the beginning, I'm not going into it. We also have Star Wars. Star Wars, now this reboot, focus in a white girl as the main lead and a black guy, what it's also changing what we are used to see in the big screen. But when it came to marketing, When the first toys came out of this movie, there was no Ray on it. There was even like a Monopoly game with all the characters, but Ray that is the main character of the movie. But she's a girl, and girls don't sell on toys, apparently. That's not true. Afterwards, they had to build toys on pressure to try to marketing because there was a lot of talking going on the internet. Also, Lego. In the 80s, Lego marketing this little girl as their face, and she's really cute. And now that they're trying to bring more girls into Lego, they build these pink house stuffs because, you know, girls dig pink. Honestly, me as a girl, Lego didn't really fulfill me because it had a few girl minifigures. And for me, that would be enough. If they had more girls minifigures, I would be happy with Lego. And this is an example of how diverse Lego can be, and we don't need it to be pink and cute. Girls don't really need all of those things. So, how can we counteract this? How can we bring more girls into tech? Right now, there are two big trends. There are all these groups like Rails Girls, Geekette, Women Tech Makers, Django Girls, Girls Geeks, so many groups that try to bring girls groups where you as a girl know that you're going to meet other girls and you'll feel more comfortable. Because it's kind of complicated for a girl that is used to be among other girls to come here and be surrounded by boys. So we feel more comfortable in these groups, and that's why they exist. At the same time, we also have the diversity tickets that I know that raise a lot of people have different opinions about this. To bring more girls to conferences or things like this, we are offering tickets for them for free, like Web Summit, that is a really expensive conference, and they offer a lot of tickets. And yeah, that comes the question, is it fair? One of my friends, when I said that I had a ticket, and he might be here on this room or not, so he told me that for sure buying a wig and applying silicone implants would be cheaper than buying the ticket. So yeah, I know that it's not fair that we have these tickets, but let's be honest. Imagine that you have to go to a social event in an ethnical group that it's not yours. It's a completely different event and you have to travel, but someone will pay your travel. If that someone would offer the opportunity for you to bring a certain group of friends, you would want that. You would be more comfortable in that. And that's it. That's one way we are trying to make girls more comfortable and bring them more into technology. I know it's not fair, but honestly, if you have another idea of how we can make it work, please bring it forward at the end of the presentation. I would be really happy to hear about it. And now, to finish, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Rails Girls Summer of Code. That is a project that I love very much. Oops, sorry. No, wrong button. This project works with crowdfunding. Every year we raise money from sponsors, from individual donors, and we fund teams of 2 girls to work in an open source project for 3 months during the summer. This year we were able to sponsor 16 teams, and we had 4 volunteer teams working on the project, so we had 20 teams that were chosen in more than 90 applications. And I have here this map of 2015 and this from 2016 because teams are chosen from all over the world. We try to be as diverse as possible. In 2015, I worked in this project as a student. I had a scholarship there, and I really love what they do. So now I'm in the organizing team, and this year I was supervising the Brazilian team. A lot of open source projects apply to be on the program. I have here some of them. And so the numbers of these years is we had 16 cities from 11 countries from all over the continent. Each team of 2 students had coaches, so we had a total of 45 coaches. We had the project mentors, and we also had supervisors. So these 20 teams of 40 students involve a lot of people in the organization. And we had a lot of activities, daily logs, tweets, conference, sponsors, etc. It's really huge for bringing 40 girls into tech. This was one of the projects. It's also one of the projects I like most. It's Spikarinnen. It's a German application that it's basically a database of women to talk in conferences. So imagine you are organizing a conference and you feel that you have few women or you want to bring some women. You can look for it to see if there's someone on the field that you are interested. And here is some images of my work. This was my team in 2015, me and my teammate. This was our supervisor, one of our coaches, and one of our mentors. And this is an image of this year, and you can see some of the girls are muted, but my team, the ones that are in this call, were all women. So this program is working. We see year by year more women involved in it as coaches, as mentors, as supervisors. I was a student and now I'm a supervisor. That girl there was also a student last year, and this year she was a mentor of a project. Other girl that it's not here, she has been working as a mentor since our first edition. This was our fourth one. And this is also our supervisor call. We really are seeing year by year more girls involved in this program. Yes, it's few, it's still few, but if each one of us can change a life, then we really are seeing things changing. This is also the organizing team. And this is basically what I wanted to tell you. I'm here talking and trying to share with you my experience on this, to make you more conscious of the problems we girls have, and by you being more conscious, maybe you can help us out while on the work field. And I hope that by sharing with you my experience, I can become a role model for other girls to feel more comfortable to come to the tech field. And I don't really think that I can change the world, but if I can change just one life, and if each of us can change one life, then yes, we together are changing the world. And thank you. That's what I'm going to tell you. So questions?
It's quite amazing to see how girls and boys react when they are relatively small. They still don't understand all of this prejudice that you told about, and when we give them equal standings, they will produce, and they will produce really well. And girls have a special focus for these kind of things, or so I have experienced. I have thought about this a bit, and we need more women. We need the sensibility of women in tech. But I have also thought about implementing something like a bonus so that more girls will come. But at the same time, I thought, I don't want this to sound discriminating. I don't care if it's fair. It's not fair that we give people on the interior of the country better rates on taxes and stuff, but this is basically something we created. It's an unbalance we created. People moved to near the sea, but it wasn't always like that. So the society created the unbalance, so we need to balance things again. Even if we are creating unfair situations, we need to balance it again. So we need to balance this. But how do girls feel if I am giving them a bonus? I don't care how boys feel, because I have reasons to tell them why we're doing this. We're balancing things. But how do girls feel? Will they feel, you know, I'm giving them something I'm not giving the boys, so do they sometimes feel discriminated by that or not?
From my experience, I don't think they feel discriminated. On Rails Girls, and I work in another organizations, and I really feel that they feel happy that people understand their problems and their difficulties, and by giving them that bonus, we are trying to make something, we are trying to make a difference on that, and they don't feel discriminated by that, on my experience.
Okay. So I can tell a small story looked like yours. I'm probably speaking against me with this, but I was a group of boys that had a project to do. It was a labyrinth with servos and electronics and stuff, and they came to me and asked for help. They saw the makerspace and they said, well, we really need help to finish this project. They didn't know what to do, so they came in and I was helping them, both guys, and one of them brought the girlfriend. And we were all three diving into the project, and we're going to do it this and this and this. And then the girl just was looking and she said, why don't you do this way? And three guys looking at her, and it was pretty obvious, but nobody saw that. And we, okay, so you're right. So you see, sometimes we need that sensibility. Three guys in the room, nobody caught that.
All right, we have another question. You raised your hand.
Thanks. So thank you for the presentation. I would like to see that website again, the women speakers. And this is not really a question, this is more of a note. More?
This
yeah,
one.
there. Thanks. And one note. I think you don't have to give bonuses. You just have to pay the same. Okay, that's one thing that happens, and I've been in several companies in the last 17 years professionally, and there is a real wage gap. So women usually, and more often than not, do not earn the same, although they usually do the same hours or more. Okay, and another thing that's interesting is to see the prejudice that happens when women have children. You know, so we are working here, we are sweating our stuff, and they are at home with their kids. Crap, you know, why am I working here? Of course I need to earn more. You know, I'm the guy working. So this is the kind of mentality that we have to change. We don't have to give bonuses. We don't have to give anything more than they deserve. Of course, this is easier said than done. But I think that it's possible. It's possible.
I think that we could stay here for hours discussing this. I saw some studies that, for example, in an office, women tend to do more organizational stuff, like in meetings they are more the ones that write the reports, go bring coffees, support each other on the office, mentor people, and they spend much more time doing those tasks than men. And that is also a reason why they tend to fall behind in their office. And also at home, they spend much more time doing house chores than men. So yeah, women tend, because of this culture, to work more than men tend to do it. And from my experience, I felt that when I went to computer science, I was treating a little different by my colleagues, and there's something that I like to call the damselly distress situation. When I work with men and I have a problem, most of the time they tend to act like I'm a damsel in distress and try to solve my problem and to work really hard to solve it when I'm just asking for help. They don't do it like if it was a male colleague asking them for help. So sometimes I tend to work much more when I have a problem until I ask for their help, because I don't want that to happen. It's a little hard until I find colleagues that really treat me like a partner and not like a girl in need. And yeah.
Okay, if anyone has a question, feel free. Just one topic. I work in security. I've always worked in security. And one of the things I find is that when I'm working in a team with women, or with women, whatever, it's really interesting to see, and it's really interesting to see what kind of ideas we have. Okay, because men usually work like a hunter. You know, they go straight to the problem and they kill the problem, and women usually think around the edges of the problem. You know, how can we get this problem and make it go away in a different way? So that's one of the things. And by the way, speaking about security, we have here one of my colleagues, and she was part of the team that won the CTF last night.
Wow.
So
Congratulations.
Well, actually, I don't have a question also, because the presentation was great and enlightening.
Thank you.
I had a question in my mind, part of the presentation, but then you tackled it. And I will follow up on his comment about the question about motherhood. That's what I was expecting to see on the presentation, and I was glad that it appeared, because I think there are actually two main problems which appear at different times in the female discrimination. And to make them short, I would say there's girl discrimination and women discrimination. So there's a part where you have a few girls doing engineering courses, and that's a fact. One of my current activities is as a professor, and over the years I've seen less and less girls in my classes. And this semester I have 40 students, of which 0 are girls. And that's a fact. And then there's discrimination against women. I think motherhood is a great issue. And I think that also connects with what you said about the kind of tasks that are given to women. I've heard this from managers and would-be managers, that I don't want to give irreplaceable tasks and specific tasks to someone who might have the crazy idea of having a baby and being absent for months. And then there goes the training. What do I do now? So what do they give to women? Replaceable tasks. Tasks which you can just take one full-time equivalent from them and put another one indiscriminately. And it's sad. And to close, you also talked about how society approaches motherhood and parenthood. And I think the way society approaches parenthood augments the problem of motherhood discrimination. Because I'm an expecting father, and I'm interested in the topic, and the regulations for how fathers are protected also discriminate women. Because for a father to have any rights besides the minimum mandatory, they are contingent to the woman spending time at home first. So I think the society and the rights that are given to men also push women to being at home. So the father doesn't have rights and just is the bread earner, and that's something that also has to change to bring equality to men and women in the workplace. So to sum up, I think there are two different issues. Getting women in tech, that's one, but when they get there, they have to be treated equally, and that's another problem. If we solve the first one, we're going to run into the second one if we don't solve it in the meantime too.
Yeah. Once again, we could stay here all day talking about this. It's a broader topic, and I think my presentation was huge already. And yeah, all those concerns are really valid and a big problem for us.
All right.
Hopefully things are changing, and we have to abandon stage, right?
No. We have time for one more question.
One more? Oh, okay.
Okay. You talked about the turning point, or one of the turning points for this imbalance between males and females in tech, I guess, which was the rise of the personal computers that were marketed towards boys instead of girls.
Yeah.
What's your thought on why that happened? What was the marketing's thoughts to actually target them more to boys instead of girls?
Actually, I don't know why they do it. My opinion is that the marketing industry, or the industry in general, is more male, and they marketing for what they knew. They know that it's for males as well, and they forgot to women. And by doing that, it was not a conscious thing, but build up all this huge gap. And I think that's the only reason. And we can't really pinpoint and say that's the problem, but it's one of the reasons that we can find for this.
All right, one last question.
When I finished up college, during my trip in college, I had many women students that came with me. I always asked them, why did you go into tech? Why didn't you go like 85% of your gender and go into medicine or something like that? And they always said, I'm an outlier, I'm a geek, I'm not exactly like the rest. I've always thought that pretty much explained the gap in terms of choice. Women tend to choose more maternal roles, even if that sounds a little sexist. Would you care to comment on that, please?
There are some studies that focus on the way we raise our children. For example, if you have a little girl that fall down, like a two-year girl fall down, the people go there and, oh, you poor girl, are you hurt? They are really protective. And if it's a boy, oh, it's nothing, get up, go run for more. So girls are used to be protected and to feel comfortable. And we tend, because of that, the way we are raised, we tend to go for things that we feel safe, that we feel comfortable. And of course, we are more comfortable with other girls. So only the girls that dare to be different are the ones that are going to try to go to something else. A few years ago, in computer science in Coimbra, it was a different year, like twice or three times the number of girls entering computer science. But they didn't stay there. They didn't like the environment. It's different, it's complicated. It's really hard for us to adapt to that. I went to computer science older than I should, because I took biochemistry first, and I still felt that. And I did that change because I wanted. And that's I was able to support it. But I feel that an 18-year-old girl has a lot more problems than I do, than I had. So that is something to consider. I hope it answered your question. So thank you very much. I'm really happy to see you.